Red Bull lost almost 4 hours on day 1 in Bahrain, hydraulic failure, garage doors closed, rumors exploding across the paddock. 48 hours later, the same car completed a full race simulation that was 0.4 per lap faster than Ferrari. 57 laps. Consistent. No degradation collapse. No overheating panic. And here is the part that changes everything. The FIA has now reviewed Red Bull's latest sidepod and aero upgrade and cleared it. Fully compliant. Which means the performance gain is real. Add to that an engine running significantly cooler than its main rivals, allowing tighter bodywork and higher top speed, and suddenly the narrative flips. This is not preseason chaos. This is controlled dominance. If you think Wednesday's breakdown meant weakness, wait until you see what Friday's data actually revealed. Subscribe now. Because what the FIA confirmed in Bahrain might already decide who controls the opening phase of this championship. Let's go straight to day 1. Because this story does not begin with dominance. It begins with panic. Wednesday morning in Bahrain. The RB22 rolls out for its first serious run. Within hours, a major hydraulic leak forces the car back into the garage. 4 hours lost. Mechanics surrounding the rear end. Bodywork removed. Floor detached. Speculation spreading instantly across the paddock. Was the aggressive packaging too extreme? Had Red Bull pushed the limits of compact design too far? And then something even more dramatic happened. Max Verstappen, scheduled to drive later that day, chose not to run. Not because he was unavailable. Because he did not want to waste laps in a car that was not fully ready. That decision triggered headlines. Crisis. Tension. Internal disagreement. But inside the team, the message was simple. Perfection or nothing. That moment is important. Because it reveals the mindset. Red Bull does not test cautiously. They test with intent. If the car is not right, they stop. They reset. And by Thursday, everything changed. Verstappen returned to the cockpit. No drama. No overdriving. Just controlled, immediate pace. But the real signal was not the headline lap time. It was the long run. 15 laps. Average deviation barely 1/10 of a second. While other teams were already managing tire drop-off, the RB22 remained stable. Calm through high-speed corners. Minimal steering correction. No visible rear overheating. And that stability matters more than a single fast lap. Because race pace wins championships. But we still had not seen the full picture. The real statement came on Friday. A complete race simulation. 57 laps including pit stops. And the average pace? Roughly 0.4 per lap faster than Ferrari and McLaren across the distance. 0.4 does not sound dramatic. Over 1 lap, it is manageable. Over a full Grand Prix distance, it becomes decisive. Now pause for a second. Day 1 chaos. Day 3 dominance. What changed? The sidepod upgrade introduced mid-test is part of the answer. Aggressive undercut. Tighter inlet concept. Improved airflow to the diffuser. The FIA reviewed the geometry and cleared it. Which means the aerodynamic efficiency gain is legitimate. No gray area. No hidden flexibility controversy. Legal performance. But the engine story might be even more important. The new Ford power unit entered testing with reliability concerns. Instead, it ran significantly cooler than expected. Around 12 degrees cooler than a major rival. Cooler engine. Tighter bodywork. Lower drag. Higher top speed. Telemetry suggests up to 15 km/h advantage at the end of the straight without DRS. That is not small. That is structural. And when you combine that with the anti-dive front suspension keeping the aerodynamic platform stable under braking, you get something dangerous. Late braking. Stable entry. Clean exits. Minimal tire degradation. So block 1 of this story is simple. Red Bull started with visible weakness. They responded instantly. They introduced upgrades. The FIA cleared them. And by the end of testing, they delivered the strongest race simulation in the field. But this is only the first layer. Because the most unsettling detail for their rivals is not the lap time. It is the control. And that control suggests something much deeper about the RB22 ceiling. Now let's move into the part that should really worry the rest of the grid. Because speed is one thing. Control is something else entirely. When Verstappen completed that full race simulation on Friday, it was not just the average pace that stood out. It was the absence of stress. No visible tire drop-off. No overheating corrections. No aggressive steering inputs to catch rear instability. The car looked effortless. And that word matters. Because when a car looks effortless over a long run, it usually means the aerodynamic platform is stable. The anti-dive front suspension keeps the nose level under heavy braking. That stability preserves front downforce, which preserves tire life, which allows later braking without sliding. And when the platform remains consistent, the driver can push without cooking the rubber. But here is where things become even more serious. Telemetry analysis suggests that during qualifying simulations, Verstappen was not even showing the full picture. Lifting slightly on the straights. Not maximizing deployment. Still posting competitive times. If that is true, then the pure one-lap ceiling of the RB22 may be higher than what we saw on the timing sheets. And that changes the narrative completely. Because Ferrari may have an edge over a single lap on paper. But if Red Bull was holding something back, qualifying becomes unpredictable. And if Red Bull controls race pace the way Friday suggested, track position becomes almost irrelevant. They can overcut, undercut, extend stints, shorten stints. The tire degradation profile gives them strategic flexibility. Now add the engine efficiency into this equation. Running significantly cooler than rivals means less thermal stress. Less thermal stress means less need to open cooling surfaces. Which means lower drag across the entire race distance. Lower drag means better fuel efficiency. Better fuel efficiency means lighter starting weight or more deployment flexibility. These are small margins. But in Formula One, small margins accumulate. The only visible weakness remains the hydraulic failure from day one. Extreme packaging always carries risk. When components are tightly integrated, small leaks can require major disassembly. But the speed of Red Bull's response suggests confidence. They fixed it. They ran full simulations. No repeat failure. Which implies the issue was isolated rather than structural. So now step back and look at the entire picture from Bahrain. Day 1 chaos. Day 2 stability. Day 3 dominance. FIA review of the updated sidepod concept. Cleared. Engine efficiency confirmed. Long-run superiority demonstrated. Driver confidence absolute. Verstappen described the car as doing exactly what he wants. That sentence alone tells you everything. Because when the reigning champion feels the car is an extension of his body, development becomes surgical, not experimental. And that is the most unsettling part for their rivals. Red Bull does not look like a team searching for performance. They look like a team refining it. Which leads to the real question heading into the first Grand Prix. Was Bahrain Preseason testing a glimpse of another dominant campaign? Or were we only seeing a fraction of what the RB22 is capable of once the lights go out? And this is where the final layer becomes impossible to ignore. Because preseason testing is not just about who is fastest. It is about who understands their car the earliest. And in Bahrain, Red Bull did not look like a team experimenting. They looked like a team validating. That is a dangerous difference. When Verstappen says the car does exactly what he wants, that tells engineers something critical. There is no fundamental balance problem to solve. No unpredictable rear end. No front end inconsistency. The platform is stable. Which means every update from this point forward builds on certainty. And certainty accelerates development. Now compare that to the rest of the field. Ferrari had to correct overheating and rear instability during the test. McLaren focused heavily on consistency runs. Aston Martin struggled with power unit reliability. Red Bull, after the hydraulic scare, shifted straight into race simulation mode. And that psychological edge matters. Because when a team finishes testing knowing their long-run pace is 0.4 per lap stronger over distance, they approach the first race differently. They are not defending. They are dictating. But here is the key strategic consequence. If the RB22 truly maintains superior tire management, Ferrari's only real opportunity becomes qualifying. Track position. Front row starts. Aggressive early stints. Yet even that may not be enough. Because with lower drag and strong deployment, Red Bull appears extremely difficult to pass. Telemetry suggesting up to 15 km per hour advantage without DRS is not just about straight-line speed. It is about defensive control. You cannot attack what you cannot reach. And that shifts race strategy across the grid. Teams may be forced into aggressive undercuts, riskier tire calls, higher degradation exposure, which plays directly into Red Bull's strength if their degradation profile remains minimal. The only unresolved variable remains durability under full race pressure. The hydraulic issue on Wednesday cannot be completely erased from memory. Extreme packaging means complexity. Complexity means potential fragility. But if Bahrain's final day simulation reflects true reliability, then the early scare becomes irrelevant. Because what matters most is trajectory. And Red Bull's trajectory from day 1 to day 3 was steep. From panic to supremacy. From garage silence to dominant race simulation. And the FIA confirmation of their aerodynamic upgrade removes any regulatory cloud. No protest distractions. No compliance debate. Just performance. Which leads to the final, unavoidable question. Did Bahrain Preseason testing quietly confirm that Red Bull remains the benchmark? Or did it reveal that the gap might already be larger than their rivals are willing to admit? Because if the RB22 truly combines cooler engine efficiency, aerodynamic stability, and minimal tire degradation, then the urgency is not about investigation. It is about response. And the rest of the grid has very little time to find one.